All right, I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you what we're going to do today. Okay. So that you guys have an overview of what to expect. Everybody see my PowerPoint? I have 3 different screens running. So excuse me if you see the side of my face while I'm talking, because I have different screens for different things. So ready. Jenna, oh, let's see. Okay, here we go. So today we'll do really quick, we'll do introductions, we'll do a video, we'll do opening prayer, we'll talk about parent involvement, program overview, and schedule. You guys should all be super familiar with all of this because this is your 2nd year. Everybody that's here was with Miss Heather last year, yes? Thumbs up?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. So introductions. If you don't know who I am, I'm Remy Vargas. I'm the Director of Religious Ed at St. Gregory Church. This is, I think, my 4th year at St. Greg's. And Heather has gone on to enjoy new adventures in wine. And so she's moved on to become, I think, office manager or bookkeeper at a new place. And so I've taken over the role of coordinating and handling all the confirmation program. And we have a brand new team. And I say brand new team, but they've been here for a while. In the confirmation program, we have 2 teachers in 7th grade, or confirmation 1, and then we have Laura Campagna, who has actually stepped up from just helping Heather in the classroom to actually being your teacher in the class this year. So we're super excited. So she's going to talk a little bit more about herself, but I'm super excited in terms of the fact that she can bring some consistency. The kids are familiar with her, and she's definitely knows the program. So Laura, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Laura Campagna. I have been, let's see, what else can I say? I was born and raised here in San Mateo. St. Gregory's is my home parish. My 2 brothers and sister, they actually went to St. Gregory's School. And I have been involved with the 8th grade confirmation for about 6 years now. So, and I'm looking forward to a new challenge.
So that's great. So excited.
Yes.
So so we actually have a high school student, Janelle Soriano, who is also going to be helping Laura with the program. She actually went through the program. She has a sister that is in the program, and she actually has also helped. She's been helping with the program, the retreats, so she's definitely familiar with the 8th grade curriculum. And we actually will also probably have another parent volunteer catechist as well helping in the class. Speaking of volunteers, we need volunteers for our large group gatherings, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And also to help in the class for breakouts. So if you're available to help, or if you have a high school student that's interested in helping, that is also somebody that we could definitely use. So, alrighty. So a lot of you went through the Ascension Press program already last year with Anthony. And I want to play a little bit of a video that we played for the seventh graders, the new seventh graders this year, because I thought it was a pretty good introduction to the program and our expectations for the parents and families and their role in confirmation. So I'm just going to play this video for you. Wherever it's launching. Chat windows.
Honor of showing them from the time they enter this world who they are and what they're worth. See, babies don't learn who they are by looking in a mirror. They don't learn who they are by looking at their accomplishments or their failures. They learn who they are by looking at us. And when they're infants, they can only see about from your arms to your face, and they learn right away, who am I? I'm precious. What am I worth? Worth dying for. My prayer is that my kids will ultimately come to learn who they are in relation to God. It's because our faith doesn't just teach us who God is, it teaches us who we are. Who am I? I'm precious. What am I worth? I'm worth dying for. See, that's why as a parent, my highest priority is that my children would come to know God. Because they could succeed in every other way. But if that faith piece isn't in place, they might become rich or famous, but they're not going to know who they are. And they end up looking for their identity in a million other places. I saw a bumper sticker recently that said, I bleed orange and blue. You got a medical problem. They could live for sports, they could live for money, they could live for their little cluster of friends, they could live for their social networking on Facebook, whatever it might be. But they're not going to know who they really are and how they're supposed to live as a result. There was a study done of thousands of US teens that revealed that faith-filled teenagers are less likely to be sexually active, smoke, drink, use marijuana, even less likely to waste time watching TV, much less likely to watch pornography and R-rated movies than teens who aren't into their faith. And they said that their faith helps them in making good decisions and giving them motives to be altruistic, gives them a sense of purpose, a sense of hope, helps them be moral people. None of this should come as a shock. Sum all that up, it gives people a sense of identity, and from that, a sense of direction that nothing else can give. It's a success. Even a good education can't give your child what faith does. Chosen is all about leading your child on a journey where they discover the beauty of the faith and who they are in the process. But they can't take that journey alone. I got kids. 2 of them are teenagers. And I know that our kids need us to take that journey of faith with them. And I know you're not perfect. I'm not either. Thankfully, our insurance covers counseling. You know, I was driving with my 4-year-old recently and someone cut me off and a cuss just flew out of my mouth by accident. I felt bad. And my little girl said, Daddy, people who talk about Jesus aren't supposed to say that word. You know, they know that I mess up, but they know I strive for holiness. They know that my relationship with my Maker is everything to me. They see me fail. They also see me go to confession often. And if you didn't think working on your relationship with God was really important before, know that now that you have teens, it's more important than ever. Because they're watching you, learning from you, imitating your faith or your lack thereof. And wherever you may be at your journey of faith, you have an important role to play, and you're not disqualified for your past sins from playing that role. If you think you are, just miss the point of the cross. So you're qualified because God redeems people. And above all, you're qualified because you're a parent. Aid your child in this faith journey, you won't only see them grow closer to God and to you, but God is calling you closer to Himself in the process. We have two great resources to help make all this happen. The first is a parent night, where you can learn more specifics about confirmation and the chosen program. Know how busy you are?
So, back. So, what do you guys think? That's a lot of information about our role as a parent and our role with our kids. And we show this in the 7th grade because we want families to know how important it is for them to play an important, to help their child through this journey of confirmation. How many of us here remember our confirmation? What do you remember about your confirmation? What's the pivotal thing that you remember? The one thing that everybody usually remembers is the bishop came. For me, I remember my confirmation well because the deacon, who was my sponsor, kept me away from the bishop because I wanted to. It was a time when girls couldn't be altar servers or acolytes at the time, and I wanted to go up to the bishop and really argue the point that girls should be allowed to be altar servers, and the deacon said you cannot go near him if you're going to harass him. So that's what I remember about my confirmation was it was a great, beautiful day, but I couldn't talk to the bishop because I wasn't allowed to hammer in my girls are allowed to do stuff conversation. But, it was, I felt empowered by confirmation to be able to do that. Anybody else remember any one special thing about their confirmation? Sylvia, you remembered yours.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. You know, it was back in Poland. That's where I grew up. And I remember I was very involved. We had a group of teenagers that were, we called it the Oasis. And we were praying and singing together and talking about teenage problems with a priest there. And so with that group, I had confirmation together. So I remember this being a very special time. Yeah, very, yeah, lots of fun. And, you know, I tell my kids, it wasn't so much, you know, of course, going to church on Sundays is super special, but this was something different. You know, you talk to people who were kind of going through the same thing you're going through as a teenager. And we were singing songs and having lots of fun. We even did trips together. So lots of fun memories for sure. I wish my girls were going through that too, but I don't know that we have a special, now I'm digressing, but communities like that for teenagers.
So we hold that thought because when we talk about our faith sharing experiences might be something similar to what you're talking about. So we'll see. We don't have a youth ministry currently at St. Gregory. And so we're trying to develop or create some kind of program eventually. But in the meantime, there will be some faith sharing experiences somewhat similar to what you're talking about. So anybody else want to talk about their confirmation? The Cardillas, did you raise your hand? Do you guys remember? Oh, Laura, go ahead.
I just remember my sister Carrie, my oldest sister, she was my sponsor. And I just remember taking photos with her in front of our, I think it was our orange tree in the backyard. Yeah.
And see, these great memories of the confirmation. Do you remember why? Or what is it that you want your child? Why do we want our kids to have confirmation? What's, you know, why do they actually need this sacrament in your mind, in your thoughts and ideas of, because it's just a sacrament, right? Why is it important to you? Jenna, I'm going to put you on the spot. Oh, are you in the middle of another?
Oh, I'm still multitasking.
Okay, I'm saying.
I'm just back on.
Okay, so why do you want your little one to receive confirmation? What is it that you want your little one to get out of confirmation? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a particularly interesting year for that question, right? Because the thing we're missing most in my house is community. And for me, that's a big part of what the church brings.
Yeah.
Is community.
Yeah. And that's what Sylvia was talking about as well, is, some sort of connection and community with our faith and others of faith. Beth, what about you? What about for Luke? What are you thinking? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. My window is moving all around. I just want him to continue his journey and continue to grow in his faith. I think he's very young in it and still understanding it. So it would be nice to see him as a teenager now to maybe embrace it a little bit more as an older child, as opposed to when he made his first communion. And I think there was less understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. I think, I'm going to switch to the prayer. We're going to do an opening prayer. And I want you guys to, when you say the prayer, think about what it is that you want for your child for confirmation. And it's a parent's prayer that you can say, at any time. But I think the words in the prayer are relevant to the sacrament of confirmation. So I'm going to share that screen. And can I ask, Amy, would you mind reading the prayer and leading us in the prayer?
Sure.
So before we start, if you could just think about your child, think about the challenges and the things you hope and want for your child, for their future and for confirmation, and kind of set yourself in that place as we start our prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amy?
Loving God, you are the giver of all we possess, the source of all of our blessings. We thank and praise you. Thank you for the gift of our children. Help us to set boundaries for them and yet encourage them to explore. Give us the strength and courage to treat each day as a fresh start. May our children come to know you, the one true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. May your Holy Spirit help them to grow in faith, hope, and love, so they may know peace, truth, and goodness. May their ears hear your voice. May their eyes see your presence in all things. May their lips proclaim your word. May their hearts be your dwelling place. May their hands do works of charity. May their feet walk in the way of Jesus Christ, your Son and our Lord. Amen.
Amen. This prayer is basically what we're doing this year for confirmation. And it's what our goals are for our kids, right? We want the Holy Spirit to help them grow in their faith, their hope, and their love, right? And so that they know peace, truth, and goodness. We want them to hear God's voice, because let me tell you, I got 3 teenage kids in my house right now. And sometimes that voice is muffled and you can't hear it because of all the other noise that's happening. and we want them to be able to see his presence in all things, especially now, like Jenna was saying, during this time, it can be disheartening, and so if they can see God in everything and what they can see, it's inspiring and hopeful for them, right? So, and as Chris Stefanik said, right, kids with faith have a better outlook. So you guys are already doing this, and you guys already want these things for your children. And I know that Heather talked about this with you guys the last year in your parent meeting about what is your involvement with your children, to share your faith stories with your kids. Talk to them about why you're Catholic. Talk to them about your confirmation experience. Talk to them why it's important for them to receive confirmation. And part of sharing your faith stories is also talking about, I talk about this with the little kids. I think Amy's heard me talk about it with the little ones, where, tell your kids, even in the mornings you don't want to go to church, you don't feel like going to church, your kids don't want to go to church. And I know as adults, sometimes we don't want to go to church, but we pull ourselves out of the bed and we go to church. Have those conversations with your kids, have realistic discussions about your faith and why it is that you do what you do in order to go to church and continue to keep the flame of your faith alive, right? Pray together, go to church together, talk about your faith with them, and what they're learning when they go to class. Talk to them about what that is. And when you go to church, talk to them about the homilies or the readings. And then even talk to them, about the things that they're learning in school, the stuff that they're seeing on their socials, those YouTube shows that they're watching. I usually, pre-COVID, would have a bunch of teenage kids in my car, driving around with these teenagers, and I can hear them talking, and Mrs. Schmidt, is always turning around going, hey, what did I just hear you guys say? And kind of injecting and sprinkling some morality or, faith, kind of help them to think discerningly about what their choices are and what's happening. I think the process of confirmation for me is to give the children a foundation so that when they see things or react or want to do things, that they have a discerning eye and mindset when they make their decisions. So prioritize, of course, confirmation prep, put the meeting dates in the calendars, help your child with the works of mercy. Works of mercy is what I'm calling service hours. So service hours makes it sound like just a checkbox, but I want them, when they do their service hours, to think more thoughtfully about what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it. And be that example, which you already are, right? You already are showing your kids what you're doing to love God and love others. You do it already. Be that example so that they can know and see that. You already are doing probably works of mercy, right? From home. You're probably donating, especially a lot of people right now cleaning up their closets for COVID, right? You're clothing the naked. You're donating your clothes for the needy. You're probably praying for your friends and family, people that are sick, right? There's corporal works of mercy and spiritual works of mercy. This list and these kinds of things are going to be important, because when we talk about service hours, these are the kinds of things that we're going to think about. There's a lot to being Catholic, right? And there's a lot to who you are as a Catholic, what you believe, how you experience your faith, what you do to show your faith, and how do you continue to nourish your relationship with God. You believe everything in the creed. You go to Mass, and you've had your children participate in sacraments. You receive sacraments. What are you doing to live as a Catholic? How do people, when they see you or your children look at you, how can they see what you're doing to show that you're Catholic or that you're living your faith for God, right? And how are you praying and connecting and continuing to grow your relationship with God? So you've grown in your faith. You're Catholic, right? You wouldn't be here if you're not. You know, you're the example for your child. Through you, they know what it means to live faithfully as a Catholic. And that's probably because after confirmation, you grew in your faith, you had experiences, and you felt a sense of belonging. And that's what we do when we come to church and participate in activities in the church, is we have that sense of belonging. You became who you were and who you are and who you wanted to be after confirmation, right? You became who you were created to be, and you're setting the world on fire. And even though this year, especially this year, because it's the last year of confirmation, right? It feels like the end. And for a lot of the kids, I know my kids were like, woo, no more religious ed on Sundays, right? I don't have to get up because we used to go 9 o'clock, right? I don't have to get up in the morning anymore and go to RE, woo, right? It's not the end. And you know this, it's actually the beginning. It is the bridge toward their salvation, toward becoming the person God created them to be. Confirmation is a beginning, it's not the end. It feels like the end because also it's the last of the sacraments of initiation. They received baptism, they received Eucharist, and now confirmation. But it's not. Confirmation is the beginning of when they get to say and what they feel about their faith. They've built a strong enough foundation, hopefully, by now, of learning and experiences to confidently participate in the Catholic faith. You've had the lifetime, right, of doing this with your kid's lifetime. And we had last year and now this year to help them get to that point where they can discern at the end of this whole thing, yes, I want to receive my confirmation. So the reason why it feels like the end, it's like anything that you've ever had set a goal for. I don't know if anybody here has gotten a degree or joined a club or even joined a sorority or a fraternity. I've not done any of those, the sorority and fraternity part. But there's usually an initiation process, right? There's a process you have to go through before you actually become a part of the club or become part of the sorority. And it feels like the goal, it feels like the end once you've done it, but it's actually only the beginning, because it's when you get to start participating fully in that program. And that's what confirmation is. It's not the end, it's the beginning. It's the part where they get to now fully participate in the community to make it a better place for themselves and others. That's what confirmation is for us. And your role is to continue to help your kids on this journey. So when they get to that point, they can say for themselves, yes, I'm ready to receive the sacrament of confirmation. Because in the beginning, and since up until this point, everybody's always said it for them. In baptism, we answer that question for them, right? And for communion, we answer that question for them. You're receiving communion, first communion. You're going to do reconciliation, right? Confirmation is the opportunity for them to be able to say it for themselves. Any questions about any of this? All clear? All the stuff that you already know? Repeating, singing to the choir? So, confirmation. It's almost over. This is the last year for you all. It's a 2-year process. What's on here is our goals for the kids. This is what the Archdiocese gives us and says, this is what you have to do by the end of the 2-year process. And you guys have done this with us in partnership, right? I'm not going to read every single one, but let's equip youth in the practice of daily prayer. You know, I think, you know, you guys pretty much probably do nighttime prayers, grace before meals, you know, um, even the just simple prayers. I did a class earlier in the month where I talked about when you're driving and, you know, or something happens and you say, oh my God, please help me, right? That's a prayer. To become full active members of the liturgical rituals and sacramental celebrations of the church. That means that they are actually participating in the Mass, right? And they're going to church. And then to become a discerning oral individual in light of the scriptures and church teachings. That's a really long definition of evangelization, right? We want the kids to be able to speak about their faith when somebody asks them. Or they can look at what their choices are and think about how they want to answer the questions or participate in something, if it really is something they feel like doing faithfully. How do we do all of this? So these are the guidelines of things that we need them to accomplish. The Archdiocese gives us information on, here are the things that you need to do in order to make sure that the kids get that. We have a curriculum that we have to deliver, which is Ascension Press, which the kids started last year. We have faith sharing experiences, which Heather used to call large group gatherings. Things like soup nights and festival and things like that. Retreats. We have to do a retreat every year. And they have to participate in Mass and attend Mass once a month. And they have to do some sort of service to community, church, and family at least once a month. And it's a total of 10 hours in the year, or 2 hours monthly. And all of this needs to be documented, or not documented, but the students have opportunity to journal, that they have to journal about it. Ascension Press, you guys are familiar with it. So I'm not going to go into it. And if you, there's a meeting for 7th graders, for 7th grade parents that we're planning. And if you want to participate in that meeting, it'll be sometime in mid-November, and it'll actually go through the program and give you an idea of what it is the kids are learning in class. The videos are similar to the ones that I just showed you from Chris Stefanik, that kind of thoughtful discussion and relevant conversations. The faith sharing experiences once a month. You know, the dates are to be determined. They'll start in January. We'll do, right now, everything is going to be virtual or, you know, super physically distanced, right? Prayer services, reconciliation services, multi-church or church-wide service projects, talks from groups, get-togethers and movie nights. The prayer services are generally like, I think if anybody came to our Pie Night last year, you know, something like that. Reconciliation services, like reconciliation, if we do reconciliation and if we can meet in person, I would love to tie that in with an you know, have Mr. Softy come, or, you know, have an ice cream social after reconciliation service. So, you know, just something where the kids are coming to do something and then also be able to hang out with each other. Multi-church or church-wide service projects. The multi-church, I'm working with some of the churches in the diocese, in the deanery, and that's our small cluster of San Mateo churches, St. Mark's, IHM, St. Tim's, St. Bart's, St. Matt's, to come together, all the kids from those different churches to come together to do a service project together, so that they get to see other Catholic kids from other schools, so that when they go to high school, because my kids, it's funny, my daughter's, one of them goes to Hillsdale, and she, you know, recognizes some of the kids in her class and says, oh my gosh, you know, so-and-so's in my class, you know, another Catholic, you know, because it's that, it's just a place that they can comfortably talk about their faith. And Anna, who goes to Hillsdale, actually was talking about, they were arguing about, I don't know if it was abortion or something in class. And one of the kids from St. Greg's, whether or not she agreed with him or not, didn't matter. But he stood up, talked about what his stance and his position was based on his faith. And Anna said, wow, good for Andrew for saying that and being so, so empowered to talk about what he believed to be true and, based on his faith. And it empowered her to kind of think, oh, it's okay to talk about, because how many times, I don't know, my kids, it's hard to talk about your faith, because especially nowadays, being Christian or Catholic is kind of a little bit hard to talk about. Everybody has issues. And so it was nice for her to be able to say, to see somebody else be so strong about what they believed in. So, so setting up these multi-church or church-wide service projects just so that they can see other folks and recognize that they're not alone. They're not the only Catholic in the room, right? And then I have my little one. She came home one day and said, all my friends are Catholic. And all her friends are not Catholic. Some of them are Unitarian, some of them are Presbyterian, but she thought just everybody was Catholic because they believed in Christ. And I said, that's okay, no big deal. We all, we're all faithful. We all believe in Christ, which is great. So talks from groups from the Archdiocese. The Archdiocese has some really great speakers that I want to have come in and talk to the kids, and then we can do that over Zoom. And some generic get-together is just so that they come, we do a little bit of a prayer and then they just hang out with each other for a little bit and then go. Movie nights, and movie nights aren't watching just religious movies. It's, there are secular movies out there that you can watch that kind of, that could spark some discussion, based on our faith. So these are the kinds of faith sharing experiences. This is a requirement from the Archdiocese that we actually have to do this once a month. And then of course there are the other things that we can throw in there, like a rosary or Adoration 101, these kinds of things that maybe we know or we don't know, or we do ourselves or we don't do ourselves, so at least our kids can see them and know whether or not they want to do it, and they know that it's part of our faith. Any questions about the faith sharing experiences? No? You think your kids would be interested in participating in any of these? And the teenage kids that are coming to help, I am going to recruit them to help me figure out how to put these experiences together with, so that they are pretty much managing and telling me, no, that's boring. Yes, the kids would want to do that, so that it's not this old lady saying, oh, I think this is kind of fun, right? And, let's do things on Facebook. And they're like, we don't do things on Facebook anymore. So that's kind of what I'm hoping that the older high school kids will help me be able to do. So, and then when your guys graduate, they can become those high school kids helping to plan the stuff that happens for the 7th and 8th graders the year before. So, retreat. It's currently tentatively scheduled for March 6, 2021. If we're not able to do it in person, we'll do it. We'll do a retreat in a box, which basically means you'll pick something up and we'll put everything that you need, and we'll do it over Zoom, and we'll just do things out of, pull things out of the box and go through it. If we can do it in person, depending on whether or not we can get in a venue because it's during Lent, it may just be in the gym this year because of COVID. Or depending on what's happening in terms of weather, we might be able to meet at a park and kind of, just do a walk along the water down by Foster City, because one of the things that I've heard from my kids and other kids that have gone through the program, they want to be able to do some nature exploration or kind of do things outside. and not be cooped up in a room for 4, 5, 6 hours out of the day without being able to walk outside. So something like that. Service hours or works of mercy, right? 10 to 20 hours is what the Archdiocese has given us. It's 10 hours, really minimum. It's 10 hours of service hours is what the kids will have to do. And because it's shelter in place, we'll have to think creatively about what those 10 hours looks like. That's why the journaling is so important, because praying can be used as a service hour or part of a service hour, right? If they choose to pray for a need. The families down in Southern California who've been separated from the children who've been separated from the parents, if they feel like that's a cause they want to pray for, they can pray for that. They just have to journal about it, and they have to spend really thoughtful time thinking about the prayer and actually praying. Maybe it's the rosary or just, some sort of time in, maybe it's a Lectio Divina, maybe it's some other form of prayer that they want to do, to pray for that specific need. They'll journal about it and they'll write down how much time they spent doing it, and we'll count that as a service hour or a time for their service hour. So if they spent 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes out of, right, their 10 hours. If they do it 5 days, you just do 20 hours for 5 days, for 20 minutes for 5 days, and that'll count towards their service hour. Make sense? And we'll send out a list of opportunities. Also, if they have something that they want to do and they think that it's something that's relevant, then they can do it, but they must journal about it and they must write down what it is that compelled them to do it and what it was about it that helped draw them closer to their faith. Or, is it one of the works of mercy, right? If somebody is sewing masks for the farm workers, that's something they can do. They could sew it, write about it, and we'll give them the hours, okay? So during this time, we have to be creative on our end and your end to so your kids can really do what they need to do. Alrighty, make sense? Yes? Questions? Okay. The journal will, when we hand them the journal, we'll make sure that there are reflection questions, and the journal is for them to kind of write in if they've gone to Mass, journal about the Mass, what their experiences about the Mass, journaling about the service hours or the works of mercy. Any questions they have, anything that comes up for them, they should write it in their journal so that they can make sure to throw it in or ask it in class. Any of the faith sharing experiences, they should journal about that, or any of the experiences in class or the videos they watched. This Sunday is the rite of welcoming. Your 8th graders don't have to attend this Mass, but we encourage them to attend to just support their Confirmation 1 students, right? If you do it online, it's on Facebook. The link's on the homepage of the St. Greg's website. And if you have a Facebook account, if you're on there and your kid is on there, if they just type in some encouraging words to the new Confirmation 1 students, that would be really great. So there are half and half. Half of the kids I've heard back from, half of the kids are going to come physically to the church, and the other half are going to be online. So we'll have as you remember last year, the kids' names are called that are in the confirmation program, the Confirmation One program. So dates for you. November 1 is the Rite of Welcoming online. There's that November, we have to get a date, mid-November meeting about the program, if you want to learn a little bit more about the curriculum that we're using. And January 31st is the sponsor class and mass. So you should have already, trying to think if I have confirmation, sponsor forms during your interview. If you registered when Heather was here, I think she talked about sponsor forms and turning those in. And generally, sponsor forms are turned in on the first day of class. But I don't know, does everybody have their sponsors picked out already? Yes, yes.
Is it what we turned in last year?
Did you turn in a sponsor form last year? If you turned in a sponsor form, like the name of your sponsor, then we have it. Okay. So January 31, and it's in January because the St. Gregory School kids aren't starting curriculum until January. So I want to give them some time to catch up before we have a sponsor class and mass. So the sponsors rule, of course, and we're doing a class and a mass on January because we want the sponsor to participate as much as they can in going to church with their candidate. And or maybe if the faith sharing activities actually allow for an adult to join them, maybe their sponsor can join them on those kinds of experiences. And March 6th is the retreat. Every fourth Sunday, starting in January, I think is going to be the youth mass. I have to confirm that with Father Mark. It used to be every third Sunday at the 11:30 mass. It actually may be fourth Sundays at the 5:30 mass is when it used to be, because it was convenient for the students and families to do it at 5:30 instead of 11:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Is that true or not true? 5:30 better on 5:30 better on Sunday than an 11:30.
I like
Celia?
11:30, but
Okay.
whatever's decided, we'll make it work.
Okay.
Same there.
Okay. And the reason why, because again, shelter in place and the number of the 11:30 mass, we're actually having to turn people away. And so we can do an 11:30 every fourth Sunday mass, and it would just be for the students and their families. So that way we're not having to turn people away. This is the tentative schedule. November 1, I'm going to email this to all of you guys so you have this PowerPoint. November 1 is the Rite. There's a holiday next week. I think it's Veterans Day. I don't know how many people still have that as a holiday. But classes start on the 15th. And then the rest of it goes on. And so I'm going to tell you, when we get into April, it gets kind of weird. And I say weird because I don't have rehearsal in there. I don't have an actual confirmation day in there. And so we're still waiting for the Archdiocese to resend the form that we need to turn in to request a confirmation date. And so I don't know when confirmation is going to be. And And so we figure if we have the time, then the kids will have the kids present their saint reports to the class, and we'll record them for the little kids to see. And I say little kids for the K through 6 RE students. We'll record them and put them on YouTube so that the little, so the RE, the K through 6 kids can watch their saint reports. And then we haven't done it so much here at St. Greg's, but it is something that we are supposed to do, which is after the kids receive confirmation, they actually don't stop coming to class. They actually continue for another couple weeks for a period of what they call mystagogy, which is fancy word for coming back and reflecting on their confirmation, thinking about what it is that they can do to participate in the Mass and in the church, right? What kinds of things can they do with their gifts that they can give back to the church? Like, do they want to usher? Do they want to lecture? Do they want to sing in the choir? Do they want to help just, next year help these 7th graders and 8th graders with their large group gatherings? So they'll continue on. So we'll know more, hopefully, in the next, by January, we'll have more of a solid schedule towards the April timeframe, because hopefully by then the Archdiocese will have finalized their calendar for us. And that is the last slide of this presentation. Any questions? We're trying real hard here. Yes, Beth, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, for the retreat in March,
Yes.
it's just the students, right? Not their
Correct.
sponsors.
Correct.
Okay.
Just the students, no sponsors. Oh, and that's when their saint report will be due. Did Heather have you guys pick out saint names already? Or talk about saints and saint names? No.
Yeah, I know Sophie was reading about it. I think she hasn't picked one yet, but I know that's something that they were supposed to start thinking about.
Yeah. And it's a good month to start thinking about it, because November, All Saints Day, right? So, probably a good thing. Oh, November 1, I don't know if you guys got the email, but November 1, Father Mark's going to be driving around like he did during Easter with a cross sticking out of his car. So, if you guys are interested in coming out and greeting him and waving and getting a blessing, that would be great if you're in the area. And the other thing is, if you want to make a saint sign, since we're having the RE kids K through 6 make saint signs to wave at Father Mark, because it's All Saints Day, and or if you want to dress up as a saint, you can do that as well. I bought a dragon today, so I was like, I'm going to be St. George. Laura knows, because she saw me when I was buying it. I was trying it on. It's a dragon costume for a little person, and so I'm forcing it on my body. But yeah, so that's so it's a good month to start thinking about saints. And then if you haven't already picked a sponsor, then it's also a good month to start thinking about your sponsor, because as you think about saints and what they represent to us in terms of faithful people, which person in your life is like a saint? We're all saints, really, but who is it that you can hold up and is that example for your child that they can easily talk to? That was actually my goal for my children, was if you pick a sponsor, make sure it's somebody that you can pick up the phone and ask and talk to easily. If you can't talk to mommy about something, you know, it's somebody that you can call that can answer that question for you with a faith eye on it. So, alrighty, that's it for me. It's 8 o'clock. If anybody else has any other questions, email, call. I'm always here, and if I don't get back to you right away, keep sending me emails because I will get back. I think I have 4 emails coming into my email box right now, since everybody's retired or resigned. Alrighty, have a good night, everyone. Blessings to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Laura, for coming.
Good
And
job.
those of you who came late, Cindy and Anna, if you could type in your child's first name and last name in the chat box, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, did.
Okay, thank you.
Can you,
Uh-huh.
are you able to check if if Tristan or Dylan turned in their sponsor form? I feel like, I don't know if they both did. Or I can
Actually,
do it again, I guess.
hold on, let me look. I'm gonna crawl away from the camera for a second. I'm gonna crawl under my desk because I have this file right here. What's the last name, Domingo?
Domingo.
Carson. Smart. Oh, here it is. Tristan Domingo, right?
Tristan turned one in?
Hold on, I'm looking. And then
I'm thinking Dylan did, but I'm not sure.
Tristan and Dylan, right?
Yeah.
Folders. I have a registration form. No, I don't.
Oh, wow.
Hang on, he probably, like I said, they probably did, but yeah, no, it's not in the, oh, hold on, what is this? These are baptism certificates. Yep, I don't have one, I don't have a sponsor form.
Can you still email those out?
I will, I'm gonna send an email out. I'll send it to you guys with the schedule so that you
Okay.
guys have it. And
Cool. Okay.
things that are due. So you already have your sponsor picked out?
I know my daughter did. I'm not sure if I think Tristan does too, but I don't remember him turning in the form. So I can just have them both do it again.
If they can both do it again. Thank
Yeah.
you for refilling out the form, by the way. I think you refilled out the form for me. And did you get my email back about payments and things? You're all
Yes,
set?
yes, we're good.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Cindy.
you.
Take care.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Melissa and Anna, are you on? Have you stepped away? Hi, Anna.
Hi, can you say that again? I couldn't hear.
We are done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I sent my the names on my kids.
yes.
It's Anna Sophia and Gabriel.
Yes, I have. Yes, I
Okay.
have them.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Are you all good?
I'm good. The only thing I just need to send the forms for the responses.
Okay.
I will send the forms. Are you going to send the forms by email?
Yeah, I'll send them all so everybody has it.
Okay.
Because what I want to do is I want to just have everything in one place so that I could,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I'm going
Okay.
to send all the sponsor forms. So thank you for that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Melissa, are you still there? Or are you gone?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, I
Do you have
am.
questions?
Hi. No, I will wait for your email, then I will turn in the sponsor form.
Perfect. Then we're all set. You
Okay.
have a good night.
Thanks.
Alrighty.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.